Hi, so today a new video about milk, about raw milk. So I wanted to make a video about milk because I was very severely intolerant to milk for several years. Milk made me very sick. Even if there was just one drop of butter in my food, I would get sick for 3 days. So I was very, very scared of milk until recently, until I healed my gut. And raw milk, I mean, milk was the last thing I could heal when I healed my gut. I could heal my histamine intolerance first, and I healed my other food intolerances like gluten and eggs quite easily. But milk was the last thing that I could heal, and it was quite difficult because I was so sick every time I tried that I was really afraid of milk. So yeah, in this video I want to explain why you should not be that afraid, and I want to show you also that you can heal your milk and dairy intolerance like I did. Now I can drink as much raw milk as I want. I can also drink or eat pasteurized dairy without consequences. So yeah, let's go, let's dive in. So before we start, in this video, I will talk about Weston Price. This is Weston Price here on the left, and his book Nutrition and Physical Degeneration. If you are new on my channel, so on many of my other videos, I talk about Weston Price. He was a dentist who, in the 1930s and 1940s, traveled the world to study the health and diet of traditional tribes who were not influenced by our modern Western society. So they were staying on their ancestral diet, and they had no health issues, unlike the modernized people, in the West. So he wrote a book about that, and it's a very interesting book if you are interested in the relation between health and diet. So I really like his book, and I really recommend everybody reading his book. Um, so I use his work a lot in my other videos, and so basically I use four different tools to find the truth, or at least to try to find the truth about health, because there's so much information everywhere on the internet, in the books, different naturopaths here and there saying completely different things. So how do I do to try to find the truth? I use four tools. I use scientific studies. So you will see that in this video and in many of my other videos. I use a lot of studies, but I also use ancestral wisdom with the work of Weston Price and the Weston A. Price Foundation, amongst other sources. I use my own experience and the experience of my clients regarding health, what works for me, what didn't work for me, what works for my clients, what didn't work for them. And I use common sense. So I use these four tools to try to find the truth regarding health. So yeah, that's basically what I want to show in this slide. And here on the right, I really believe that we need to work with nature and not against nature, and as long as we obey nature, we will be healthy. So let's start. So what is raw milk? So basically, raw milk is just milk from a mammal that was not transformed in any way. Okay, it was not heated, it was not microfiltrated, it was not homogenized. Um, if you are lucky enough to have a farm next to you, you can, just get the fresh, warm, raw milk. But if you buy it in a store, it will be refrigerated. It's refrigerated between 3 and 4 degrees Celsius, more or less. It's to stop the development of bacteria in the milk, so the milk can be kept longer. Okay, but basically there's no transformation except of the refrigeration. So the composition of milk. So milk is basically blood without the red blood cells. Okay, you will find everything you find in blood, in milk, except for red blood cells. So you find mostly water, you find milk fats and non-fat solids. Okay, in the non-fat solids you can find this milk sugar, lactose, you can find proteins, you can find minerals and acids, and you can find vitamins and enzymes. Here it's a little more details about the composition of milk. So you have different proteins, you have, as we said, milk sugar, lactose. There are many different minerals. Here you have more details about the different minerals. The main minerals we can find in milk are sodium, potassium, chloride, calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus. And then you have traces of these other minerals. Here you can find different acids, you can find vitamins. Here, so the main vitamins we find in milk, in raw milk, are vitamin A, C, and D, and then you find a little bit of E and K, and many B vitamins. You can find different fats that are very beneficial for our health. Butyric acid, that is very important to heal the gut. I talk about it in one or two of my videos. You can find caprylic acid. You may have heard of it if you try to fight candida. This is a classic remedy that we use to fight candida overgrowth in the gut. And many other very beneficial fats here, and enzymes, so amylase, catalase, lactase, that is made by the bacteria in milk, lactoperoxidase, that will make the milk healthy, that will keep the milk healthy by fighting different pathogens. Lipase, that is the enzyme that is used to digest fat, and therefore it's because of this enzyme that we can absorb the fat soluble vitamins we just talked about. And phosphatase, that is another enzyme that is necessary to absorb phosphorus and calcium. We'll talk about it. So what about dairy intolerance, dairy allergy? Okay, so let's explain why you are dairy intolerant or you have allergy to dairy. So basically, it's very easy to understand when you look at this little drawing. This represents your small intestine, okay? So this is your gut barrier. This is your gut lining, okay? So when your gut lining is healthy, you have all the intestinal cells here that are tightly linked, like you can see here. And it separates the outside from your blood circulation, from your bloodstream, okay? So when food particles arrive here in your small intestine, the food particles are supposed to get absorbed by those little fingers that we call villi. Okay, the villi, the job of the villi is to absorb these food particles, and the other job is also to produce enzymes. They make enzymes. They make the DAO enzyme that I talk about in my video about histamine intolerance. Okay, if you have histamine intolerance, one of the main reasons is because your villi are destroyed. They cannot produce enough DAO anymore. But go watch my histamine intolerance video if you are interested in that. And these villi, they also make the enzyme lactase. That is the enzyme that digests lactose, the sugar in milk. Okay, so when you have leaky gut, the tight junctions are destroyed. So food particles get directly into your bloodstream. They are not supposed to do that. Okay, because they get into your bloodstream, they are recognized by your immune system as threats. Okay, and your immune system will react and you will have inflammation. And the next time you consume these foods, your body will react. Okay, and if your gut is destroyed. Basically, the little villi here, the little fingers, don't look as nice as in this picture. They are destroyed. Okay, instead of being like this, they are like this. Okay. So basically, if you want to heal any food intolerance or allergy, you need to repair your gut lining, and you need to repair the little villi here to heal particularly your lactose intolerance. Okay. I have many videos on my channel that explain how to heal your gut lining, how to heal your food intolerances. So I let you go watch my other videos on my channel. I won't detail these points too much in this video. Okay, so basically, as I just said, dairy intolerance or allergy is caused by leaky gut and by damaged villi. Raw milk is easier to digest than pasteurized milk. Why? It's because, as we said, there are enzymes in raw milk that digest the lactose. Raw milk digests itself. Okay, so it demands much less work for your body to digest raw milk than to digest pasteurized milk. All the enzymes, everything you need to digest milk is in raw milk. And fermented dairy is easier to digest than milk. Why? Again, because there's less lactose in fermented dairy compared to raw milk. Okay. So if you want to try, if you are very intolerant or allergic to dairy, and if you don't have histamine issues or issues with yeast and fermented things, you should try first fermented dairy before trying raw milk. It will be easier for you to digest fermented dairy like yogurt or kefir. But be careful, and yeah, I explained that in many of my videos. Okay, so let's talk about pasteurized, UHT, homogenized, microfiltered milks. Okay, what is pasteurization? Pasteurization is when you heat up the milk at a high temperature, about 70-80 degrees Celsius for 15 seconds. So not only it kills the bacteria, but it makes calcium and other minerals less available. Complete phosphatase, the enzyme destruction, is a test method to see if milk has been properly pasteurized. Phosphatase is essential for the absorption of calcium. Okay, so in pasteurized milk, you won't absorb calcium properly. It will destroy water-soluble vitamins, particularly vitamin B6 and vitamin B12. It will destroy the beneficial enzymes, antibodies, and hormones. It will destroy lipase, so you won't be able to absorb the fat-soluble vitamins A and D. And also, when you pasteurize milk, it kills the bacteria, but it doesn't kill the spores, the fungi, the fungi's spores. Okay, so when you kill the bacteria but you don't kill the fungi, you will have a fungal overgrowth. It works kind of the same way in your gut. If you take antibiotics, it will destroy your gut bacteria, but it won't destroy the fungi in your gut. So you will have a fungal overgrowth because of the antibiotics, and then you will have lots of issues, digestive issues. You will have candida and other stuff like that. So same story, more or less, in the milk. If you kill bacteria and you don't kill the fungi, you will have issues. What issues? Like if you pour milk, pasteurized milk, in a glass and you leave it on the counter for 2, 3, 4 days, it won't ferment, it won't turn into yogurt like raw milk would do. It will just become putrid. It will rot, it will stink, and it will be disgusting. That's because of the elimination of bacteria, and that's because you only have the spores that will grow again. So regarding UHT milk, it's even worse than pasteurized milk because it is heated at a much higher temperature, above 135 degrees Celsius, for 2 to 5 seconds. So UHT milk is completely dead. There's nothing left. It's not only that it damages some vitamins and enzymes, it kills everything. It destroys everything. It's completely dead. But here again, there might be some spores that survive, and it will rot if you leave it outside on the counter. It will rot, same as for the pasteurized milk. Homogenized milk, what is it? The homogenization process consists of breaking the fat globules into fine particles. To do this, the milk is passed through a nozzle with a pressure of 100 bar for milk intended for pasteurization and a pressure of up to 250 bar for milk intended for heating at ultra high temperature, UHT. This process decreases the diameter of fat globules from 3.6 micrometers to an average diameter of 1 micrometers. Homogenization is a process that breaks up the fat globules and distributes them evenly through the milk so they don't rise. This process naturally increases the surface area of fat by exposing it to air in which oxidation occurs, and increases susceptibility to spoilage. Okay, oxidation of fats, basically. That's what will happen. And also, fat globules in homogenized milk are so small that they pass directly through the intestinal wall without being digested. What we just said, even if your tight junctions are healthy, even if the molecules go here, it will still pass through without being digested. See how it can be problematic. It also denatures milk proteins, and homogenization has been linked to heart disease and atherosclerosis. And what about microfiltered milk? It is slightly heated and then passed through a filter with microscopic pores that eliminates bacteria. Okay, it's not as bad as homogenized. It's not as bad as UHT or pasteurized milk, but it will remove all bacteria anyway. So you will have the same result as pasteurized milk or UHT, because you eliminate all bacteria. So it's dead milk that only has fungi spore in it. Raw milk versus conventional milk. So as we said, so in raw milk, all the vitamins, minerals, enzymes, and proteins are 100% active. In pasteurized milk, you have a reduction of, it's just pasteurized. It's much worse with UHT, as we just said. In UHT, everything is destroyed. In pasteurized milk, you have a reduction of vitamins, minerals, and so on. Here's the same. So these are slides that I took from, at the end of this video, you will see the sources. I took these slides from, the Weston A. Price website. So vitamin C, there's vitamin C in raw milk, not in pasteurized milk. You will have less calcium also in pasteurized milk, less folate, vitamin B12, B6, etc., etc. This is how raw milk looks like under a microscope on the left, and on the right, this is pasteurized milk that is completely dead. There's nothing left. It's like a desert. They made several different studies to compare raw milk on health, the health effects of raw milk and the health effects of pasteurized milk. They made studies on guinea pigs fed with raw milk, no issues. They have excellent growth, no abnormalities when they are fed pasteurized milk. Poor growth, muscle stiffness, emaciation, and weakness, death within 1 year. Autopsy revealed atrophied muscles, streaked with calcification. Tricalcium deposits under the skin, in joints, heart, and other organs. Same on calves. They separated calves in 2 groups. One, they gave them raw milk, and the other one, they gave them pasteurized milk. No deaths in raw milk group. 3 deaths in pasteurized milk group. And the ones that survived in the pasteurized milk group, they all got sick. You may have heard about the raw milk cure. That was a milk cure given in the Mayo Clinic in the beginning of the 20th century. There's also a book that was written by Dr. Porter about this raw milk cure. So basically, they would feed only raw milk, gallons of raw milk to their patients, and their patients would eat or drink nothing else than raw milk for several days or weeks or months, and they would heal. They would heal from many different diseases like cancer, weight loss, kidney disease, allergies, skin issues, prostate issues, etc., etc. And this milk cure works only with raw milk. It doesn't work with pasteurized milk. So raw milk we hear is dangerous. There are many dangerous bacteria and so on in raw milk. That's why you need to pasteurize it or to boil it. It's not true. This is not true. Raw milk is not dangerous. In raw milk you have many things that keep the good balance in this raw milk. Raw milk is like a living organism. Everything is kept in balance by these different things. What do you have in raw milk that makes it safe? You have lactoferrin. Lactoferrin is a natural antibacterial and antifungal that you find in raw milk. You find lactoperoxidase, an enzyme that is antibacterial and antiviral. You find white blood cells. You find immunoglobulins that transfer immunity to the calf. You find polysaccharides, oligosaccharides that are prebiotics that protect the gut wall. You will find medium chain fatty acids that protects your liver. You will find, so it keeps the balance in milk and it's good for you. This is what you see in this slide. You find phospholipids, sphingolipids that protect your gut cells. You find enzymes that disrupt bacteria cell walls. You find hormones and growth factors that stimulate maturation of gut cells, prevent leaky gut. You find mucins that prevent organisms from attaching to the mucosa. You find glycomycoprotein that protect from bacteria and viruses, suppress gastric secretions, and support the immune system. And you find beneficial bacteria like lactobacillus and bifidobacterium who produce lactic acid that is antifungal. And finally, you find lactoglobulins that carry nutrients through the gut wall. So, it's true that in the end of the 19th century, beginning of the 20th century, some people got sick from raw milk, and that was the reason why they started to pasteurize milk. Why did they get sick from raw milk? It is because the 19th century was the Industrial Revolution, and all people were pushed into the cities. Everybody started living in the cities, and the food supply chain became very industrialized, and they started to make everything in plants, and it was the same for milk. They would gather the cows in one place, in one plant, and feed them garbage, literally garbage. They were feeding the cows garbage. They would use the waste of different plants, of different factories, like the factories that made vegetable oils. They would feed the waste of the vegetable oils plants to the cows. And the cows became so sick that they started to make toxic milk, and people drinking that milk got sick. Okay, so you can get sick from raw milk if the cow is very sick. If the cow is not sick, there's no reason why your milk would be toxic. Okay, anyway, so here in this slide, it shows how many people died from foodborne illnesses since 1999. 29 people died from eating cantaloupe in 2011. 5 people died from eating spinach in 2007. 12 people died from eating meat in Canada in 2008, and 2 in the US in 2011. People died from eating peanuts, they died from eating eggs, they died from eating oysters, they died from eating pasteurized cheese, from eating pasteurized milk, from eating pasteurized mother's milk. And from raw milk, nobody died since 1999 from raw milk, but people died from pasteurized milk. Here, basically, it shows that many people got ill and died from eating pasteurized dairy products. Okay, so pasteurized dairy products, pasteurized milk is not safer than raw milk. It is not. What you heard was all propaganda. Here's the same. You have different dates and cases of outbreaks due to pasteurized milk. I forgot to translate here in English. It says raw milk is healthy. So why? Real milk, unprocessed milk from pastured fed cows contains vital nutrients like fat-soluble vitamins, everything we saw before, A and D, calcium, B vitamins, CLA. Raw milk is a source of complete protein and is loaded with enzymes. It has beneficial bacteria that will make your gut healthy with a healthy flora. Raw milk proteins increase immunity more than pasteurized milk proteins. Pasteurized milk contains less proteins than raw milk and therefore is not as good for your immunity. Raw milk increases glutathione levels about 2 times more than pasteurized milk. I made a video about glutathione recently on my channel. I will put the link up there. Proteins, fatty acids, enzymes, vitamins, minerals, probiotics are intact in raw milk, as we said. And because of that, raw milk is nutritious and easy to digest. And children drinking raw milk will have a better physical development compared to kids that drink pasteurized milk. The Chioli people in China consume nearly 1 kilogram of, that's about 2 pounds, almost 2 pounds of raw dairy per day. They eat almost no vegetables. They eat like twice a year, some green veggies, and that's it. And they eat also meat and wheat. And they have better health scores, or better or at least equal to vegan, vegetarian Chinese peoples. So this is in relation to the China study that you might have heard that is propaganda for veganism. It's a study that came out in the beginning of 2000, like in 2005. Propaganda to make people believe that animal products are toxic. But of course, they forgot to mention the Chioli people and other people like that that are very healthy by eating almost no vegetables and lots of animal products. Raw milk repairs the gut. Bacteria in yogurt and kefir colonize the gut. Kefir bacteria more than the yogurt bacteria. They are both good to help with your gut flora, but kefir is even better than yogurt. Raw milk during childhood protects against allergies, asthma, and eczema, unlike pasteurized milk. So there are several studies showing that. Here is a picture that shows the amount of bacteria that you have in raw milk, in raw cow's milk. So it's about almost 10,000 CFU per milliliter in raw milk, almost nothing in boiled milk, and almost near zero in pasteurized milk, and zero, absolutely none, in UHT milk. So bacteria are essential for our health. We could never live without bacteria. The germ theory that we follow since Pasteur, since the beginning of the 20th century, actually since the end of the 19th century, is a lie. It's not true. The germ theory says that bacteria are dangerous and we need to sterilize everything to be healthy. This is actually the opposite. Unfortunately, we are coming around that since the beginning of the years 2000, uh, because it's quite recent, and that we actually discovered that probiotics in our gut, so healthy bacteria, are essential to our health. It is actually something quite new, and it's only since the beginning of the years 2000 that the industry of probiotics um, really started to grow, because people started to realize that, yeah, bacteria are good for us. Okay, so it is a good thing that raw milk has lots of bacteria. It is a good thing. Don't boil your raw milk. Look what happens when you boil raw milk. Is the same as pasteurized milk. Why? It's because when you boil raw milk, you actually heat it at a higher temperature than pasteurized milk, and for longer. Okay, so boiling raw milk is actually worse than pasteurized milk. So don't do that. Okay, there are 700 types of bacteria in breast milk. I don't know how many in cow's milk or other mammals' milk, but it must be around the same numbers. If bacteria were so bad for us, why would there be so many types of bacteria in breast milk? Breast milk that you drink when you are a newborn, when you need to be healthy, when you build your immune system. You build your immune system thanks to bacteria. Bacteria are good for you. There are only 2 types of bacteria in yogurt. So that's the regulations that wants that. So at least that's the regulation in France. It's to call a yogurt, it needs to have the bacteria Streptococcus thermophilus and Bifidobacterium, Lactobacillus bulgaricus. And then when you have these 2 strains, you can call the yogurt. If it doesn't have these 2 strains, you cannot call your fermented dairy yogurt. Anyway, so yogurt is made with just 2 types of bacteria. Maybe in the US it can be like 3, 4, or 5, but it's ridiculous. It's almost nothing. 2 types of bacteria only, or 4 or 5. The CFU is more, of course, than in raw milk, because it is fermented. It's about 1 million CFU per milliliter, but it's much less compared to kefir. In kefir, you have dozens of bacteria and yeasts in kefir, and 1 to 10 billion CFU per milliliter. So it will be much more powerful to heal your gut, to repopulate your gut, to drink kefir compared to yogurt. Okay. Then raw milk repairs leaky gut for so many reasons we listed before, but one of the main reasons is because of the amount of lactoferrin that you can find in raw milk. This is the amount of lactoferrin you find in raw milk here. This is the amount of lactoferrin in boiled milk, nothing. There are some left in pasteurized milk, because as I said before, actually pasteurized milk is actually a little better than boiled raw milk, but I don't recommend pasteurized milk anyway. And there's nothing left in UHT milk. UHT is the worst of the worst. Lactoferrin, a protein that inhibits the growth of pathogenic bacteria, viruses, yeasts, encourages the growth of probiotic bacteria, acts as an antioxidant, helps our intestinal cells make their own lactase, the enzyme that digests lactose, and it repairs the gut villi. What about hormones in milk? Because we hear that's a problem, because cows are so much bigger than us, and if we drink cow's milk, and cow's milk is made to make the baby cow grow very big very quickly, so that's why milk is bad for humans. Cow's milk is bad for humans. So let's see if that's true. So in a study, it shows that yes, there are risks of tumors caused by hormones in dairy products, but it's actually not from naturally occurring hormones in dairy products, but from hormones that are injected into the cows. Okay, so if you drink organic, healthy, raw milk from cows that were not injected with growth hormones and other shit, um, you will be fine. In raw milk, you find bovine growth hormone. Actually, it's not only in raw milk, it's in also in pasteurized milk. You will find bovine growth hormone. It is not active in humans because it has a different shape that we cannot assimilate and use. It has estrogens, yes, but it's very low amounts of estrogens, and also there is progesterone in milk, and this will counterbalance the estrogen, so it will cancel each other. Growth hormone releasing hormone, GHRH. So that's another hormone. Its action is countered by somatostatin, which is also present in raw milk. Insulin-like growth factor, it has a half-life of about 10 minutes. So if your milk is a little older than 10 minutes, you don't even need to worry about that hormone. Same for this other hormone, luteinizing hormone. The half-life is 20 minutes. So yeah, there are very little chance that you get this hormone in the milk you drink, if ever it was a problem. This is a good website. I will show you my sources at the end of the video, but number 21, to find many things about that, about the hormones in milk. Now, what about A1, A2 milk? So you may have heard about that, that A1 milk is harder to digest than A2 milk. So I won't go into too many details about that. If you want more details about what is A1, what is A2, pause this slide and read this text here that details that very well. So basically, A1 and A2 are proteins found in milk. A1 is found in milk coming from modern cows that were quite heavily, hybridized, and that are not really natural cows anymore. And A2 milk comes from like old races of old breeds, of cows, more the the old breeds. And also goats and sheep naturally make A2 milk. So it's not very clear if A2 milk is really easier to digest than A1 milk. There are different studies. Some studies say that yes, it's harder to digest A1 compared to A2. Some other studies say there's no proof. Like here at the bottom of this slide, I found 2 studies saying the opposite thing. So it's not really clear. But from my experience, from what I saw, not on myself, because at the time when I was intolerant to milk, I didn't even know about A1, A2, so I don't know what milk I tried when I first drank raw milk. Actually, yeah, I know what milk I tried, because after I healed my gut, the first milk I tried was goat's milk, so obviously it was A2, and then I drank the a French raw milk that is everywhere in France that is also A2. So actually, I drank A2, but I didn't know about A2, A1 at the time. Anyway, so from what I see in many people, many people who have digestive issues, it seems that yes, they have. It's easier for them to digest A2 milk compared to A1 milk. So basically, what you should know about that is that we are not sure, but if we are not sure, it's better to be on the safe side and drink A2 milk. So A2 milk, you will find it in, as I said, the older breeds of cows such as Jersey, Asian and African cows, whereas the Holstein cows make A1 milk. Okay. This is the French raw milk I just talked about that we can find everywhere in France. It's a very good brand if ever you come to France. If you go to organic shops, organic stores, they usually have this brand Gabouri. And so I know it's you don't care because you will never come to France maybe, but I just wanted to show you this slide because here they say that yeah, they have Jersey cows and that is easier to digest. It has more minerals and vitamins than other types of milk, and it's also rich in omega 3s, omega 3 and 6. Oop. And yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about a little bit also. If you drink milk from cows that are fed grass, their milk will be much higher in omega 3. If the cows only eat grains, grains are rich in omega 6 fatty acids, therefore the milk will be rich in omega 6 fatty acids, and therefore it will be inflammatory, pro inflammatory. Okay, and it's the same for the meat. If you eat meat from healthy animals that are pasture raised, the meat will be much higher in omega 3 compared to omega 6, so it won't be pro inflammatory. And here they compare the nutrients, like the different minerals, in Jersey cows compared to Holstein cows. So there are more nutrients in Jersey milk compared to Holstein milk. And here, this is a slide that shows the difference between confinement butter and grass-fed butter. Quality is always what you want to look for. Okay, cows that are pasture raised, so cows that eat grass, will have this yellow butter because this butter will be so much richer in vitamin A, vitamin D, beta carotene, that gives this yellowish orange color to the butter. When you have a white butter, like on the picture on the left, it's empty of everything. It's empty of vitamin A, vitamin D, beta carotene, and so on. So it's really not very interesting. What about goats and sheep milk? So goats and sheep milk are easier to digest than cow's milk. Let's see why. Regarding goat's milk, while the fat content of goat and cow milk is similar, the fat globules in goat milk are smaller. That makes it easier for your body to digest. Goat milk is also lower in lactose or milk sugars than cow milk. Goat's milk contains only A2 casein protein we just talked about. Goat's milk contains more calcium rather than cow's milk. Goat's milk has high levels of medium chain fatty acids, okay, compared to cow's milk. A study found that nutrients like iron, calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus were more easily digested and used by the body in goat's milk compared to cow's milk. Now let's talk about sheep milk. 1 cup of sheep milk contains more calcium, carbohydrates, and protein than in goat's milk. Sheep milk is also higher in many vitamins and minerals compared to goat's milk and cow's milk. Like goat's milk, sheep's milk is easily digestible by the body. That's thanks to the small fat globules that makes it easier on your digestive tract. It contains similar levels of short and medium chain fatty acids as goat milk, so it's less irritating. Its high fat content is a turnoff for many, although the fats are mainly monounsaturated fat and polyunsaturated fat. 1 cup contains almost double the amounts as cow and goat milk. Okay, so goat's milk and sheep milk are easier to digest than cow's milk. But if you have issues digesting fats, you might want to drink goat's milk. Okay, so yeah, it's just harder to find goat's milk and sheep's milk, and it's also more expensive. So yeah, if you are very intolerant to milk and you want to try again, first you need to heal your gut. So watch my other videos on my channel to know how to heal your gut. So first you need to heal your gut. Then I would recommend that you start with goat's milk. Okay, And then later, when you feel that you have no issues with goat's milk, then you can try cow's milk. Raw cow's milk, of course, from grass-fed cows. Same for goat's milk. And find a good source from goats that go outside and eat grass. Okay. If you don't have the option of goat's milk, you can try cow's milk, but yeah, just go very slowly anyway. Even when you start with goat's milk, just go very slowly. If you were very intolerant to milk, start with just a teaspoon per day. Listen to your body. If everything is fine, slowly increase the amount until you drink like a cup per day and more. Okay. Our ancestors consumed raw milk, so I wanted to talk about that because we hear that, I don't know about you in the US, but here in France, very often we hear that black people and Asian people, most of them are dairy intolerant because historically their ancestors did not drink milk, so their digestive system did not evolve to digest milk and dairy products. This is absolutely wrong. It's not true. And you can see that in the book of Weston Price I talked about in the beginning of the video. In his book, Weston Price talks about different tribes around the world who consume dairy. So he first talks about the Swiss. In Switzerland, they drink lots of raw milk, they eat butter, they eat cheese. And then he lists many tribes in Africa who drink milk and consume dairy products. The Maasai, the Muhima, the Bahema, the Wanande, and many, many other African tribes who consume dairy, and they have been consuming dairy for centuries or even thousands of years. The Arabs drink camel's milk. In Egypt, they eat butter. This is what we find in his book. Of course, if you make some research, you will find much more details about that. But that's what we can find, at least in his book, Nutrition and Physical Degeneration. And regarding Asia, in Tibet, they consume tons of raw dairy. In northern India also, they consume sheep milk, musk ox milk, and other milks. Okay, so no, it's not true that Africans and Asians don't have the proper digestive system to digest milk because their ancestors did not consume milk. It's not true. And this is just a small sample, a small part in his book that I wanted to show you regarding skimmed milk. He talks here about a young boy who is sick. His convulsions were due to a low calcium content of the blood. All of these were in the skimmed milk, for the butter fat removed in the cream contains no calcium nor phosphorus except traces. If you consume skimmed milk, it's deficient in many nutrients, so it's not good. You need to consume whole raw milk. These are my sources. In this video, I thought about listing my sources, but if you want my sources for all of my other videos on my YouTube channel, you can just send me an email and I will send you my sources. I kept my sources for each one of my videos. Okay, so here I listed my sources for this one. But yeah, if you watch my anti-nutrients videos, for example, send me an email and I will send you my sources. And finally, as I said, I can help you heal your gut. I have many videos on my YouTube channel, and I also have a course on how to heal your gut naturally. It's on my website, thecandidaslayer.com. The link will be under the video. I see you in the next video. Bye bye.